Konnichiwa, Crispy Akiyama, and I am ecstatic to go over this plugin with you guys today. First reason is this is my first opportunity to be a beta tester for a plugin, and not just any plugin, a plugin from one of my absolute favorite plugin companies. Of course, I am talking about Pulsar Modular and their P821 MDN tape. If you guys have been watching my channel for a little bit, you guys will know that I'm a huge fan for the P821 MDN sidecar, which I honestly believe was the best plugin release of last year. I use it ever since I've had an opportunity to try it out. So this is their take on a very famous yet very rare tape machine, and the history is all in the manual of the plugin. And Mark Daniel Nelson did a excellent breakdown video on the Pulsar Modular channel for you guys who are more interested of the actual history behind the tape machine. I just really wanted to go over how I was using this tape machine on a song I was working on. So I've had this plugin for about 2 weeks or so, and I've had an opportunity to see improvement, see things get added, things get taken away. So this was a dope first experience for me, and I am flattered by the end result that this is able to produce. So the manual is your best friend. I'm not going to really go through and tell you guys exactly what everything does, because if you're like me, you really just want to know how it sounds and if it's for you. Is this plugin for everybody? I would think it has a really great place in your arsenal. You know, as plugins are dropping, it seems like every week, we are at a time where technology is advancing, and we have very amazing people like the people at Pulsar Modular and Mark Daniel Nelson who are, instead of rushing to drop a plugin every week or every other week, or, you know, just trying to keep up with crazy schedules, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really love the time, the attention, and the detail that they put into these plugins. And being behind the scenes, I had a real opportunity to see the amount of just focus that was driven to create this piece of software. So with that said, this, funny enough, the song that I'm going to be playing is called Sin City by a friend of mine, Omari, who stays out there in New York. We had recorded this 4 years ago, and he recently hit me up about a month ago to mix this song for him. So this was the first song that I actually used this plugin on. And just a little my background, I have not had an opportunity to actually use tape before, so I'll say that. However, I do have a stereo pair of Neve 542 tape emulators that I rely on like my life depends on it. Okay, so I track through these tape emulators, I mix through these tape emulators, and I know very much what they sound like. So this is a very different sound from the Neve 542 tape emulators. However, I'm a huge fan of tape saturation. Okay, so I'm going to play the song without anything, and then I'll play it with the tape engaged, and I'll zero everything out. So cool. So let's listen before.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City, still lost in the lights and the hype. fucking flashing lights. Caught up in the high, we so high, and we staying high. Sin City.
Cool. So that's what we're starting off with right there. All right. So one of the things that I noticed when I'll turn the plugin on is the stereo imaging. One of the very things that I loved about the P821 was the stereo imaging. So listen to the relationship that the vocals have along with the music and everything surrounding it when we play it.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City. Sin City, still lost in the lights, in the hype, fucking flashing lights. Caught up in the high, we so high, and we staying high.
Okay, so one of the first things that I absolutely adore about this plugin, and just about tape saturation in general, is its ability to just round off transients. And this plugin specifically just not only round off transients, but still keep the transient intact, you know? And so what I want you guys to focus on, the first thing that I heard, is listen to the relationship between the vocals and the snap. I feel like prior to putting this plugin on, there was much more of a separation between the vocals and the snap. And then when I brought it in, it was able to round off the snap and glue things together, make things a little bit more cohesive, but still maintaining this separation between the two. So it gelled them together, but really just helped them just have more of their own spot at the same time. Let's go ahead and play that.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City still.
Okay, so that was the first thing that I noticed, the relationship between the clap and then also the vocals. The second thing that I noticed is it was a little weak in that low mid area. And this really just helped. It's not a muddy sound by any means, but it just helped give it some girth in that low mid area. And let's just play that. Now let's focus to the low mids. We listen to the vocal and the snap. Let's listen to the low mids. Let's listen how this actually just kind of fills in some of that space, and it helps bridge the gap between the low end and the mid range. It's like it helped just make that a little bit more cohesive.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City.
Okay, and the reason why that's so important, that low mid girth that it adds, is because that's where I feel like a lot of the emotion is at. That's where a lot of the soul is at, especially in a song like this, because as you guys can hear, there's really not too much going on. So if there is any area that is lacking, it's going to stand out immediately. So I really love how that just adds some girth in that area. Okay, so now kind of get into this. So now we have the shelf, we have the bias. This is a low shelf, high shelf. I don't know where the frequencies are at, but it doesn't really matter. Just like a tone control. You can do pre, you can do post. So if you're doing pre, basically you can boost or cut going into the tape, in essence, boosting going into the saturation, or you can do it after the saturation. Okay. And then you have bias right here. So you can adjust the bias. How I basically think of the bias is as you kind of take it to the left, it kind of relaxes some of the saturation and distortion in that area. And then as you boost into it, you're going to get a little bit more of that, like that saturation and distortion. So it might, for this song, I think I took it down a little bit right here. I don't want to take it down too much because it can kind of help cut through a little bit more if I have that bias at a decent balance. So let's kind of just play around with this area now.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City, still lost in the Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she.
So you hear that pretty natural sounding, right? Same thing with the bias. Let's listen to that.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City.
So you see, even with this bias boosting up, it's like it can add some, it has the potential to add more distortion into that high end, but it can also help those transients become sharper. Not even a bad way sharper, just more snappier, right? So that's really cool. Let's kind of play with the drive. Let's see what this sounds like when we really drive it. I'm gonna zero all this stuff out.
Sin City, Sin City.
And then also when these light up, you're starting to get some of that, you're getting more saturation. Basically, that's what that does.
Sin City, Sin City.
Okay, and as I do this, listen to the S's. I feel like the S's are a little sharp still. So like, let's listen to the S's, how that sibilance is tamed as we're pushing this. And then also listen to the snap. So like, listen to the rounding off of the transient of the snap, the low end kind of gluing, or really the compression that's happening. That's really what I'm listening for right here, is the sibilance, how the sibilance and harshness is being tamed, but also the gluing and the compression that's taking place when it comes to driving this. This is one of my favorite things I love to do. Now on a stereo bus setting or like this, I'm not going to do too much, but I'm gonna just show you guys.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City, still.
Okay, so that sounds pretty dope. And you know, one thing that I like to do with tape or tape emulations is, you know, kind of drive it a little bit and then introduce some high end after that, because we're losing a little bit by controlling that sibilance. We're also losing a little bit of life. So not losing a little bit of life, but I don't want to lose too much of that diction is a more accurate way of putting that. So now we can, as we're driving it, see what we can kind of bring back with the post shelf and the bias.
Sin City, Sin City, lost lost in those lights. See, every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe in sin, sin city, sin city. Still lost in the lights, in the hype, fucking flashing lights, caught up in the high, we so high. Sin city, sin city, lost in those lights. See, every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean.
So that's dope. So in essence, I'm able to push it, right? I'm able to push and drive the saturation of the tape, dial back the bias a little bit just so it's not hitting the high end too hard and kind of removing some of that distortion from the high end, but then go through and boost the high end after the saturation. Stay with me now. All right. So I really, really love that. Let's go through and play with some of the tape formulas. All right.
Sin city, sin city, lost in those lights. See, every single night scene, always.
Let's put this back now.
Sin city, sin city, lost in those lights. See, every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean.
The 456 has a little bit more openness to me. I really loved using the 15 IPS and the 456, specifically when it comes to like the stereo bus. I feel like this just has a little bit more liveliness. And then I did remember going through using the 900. I think it was on like my bass, like my 808s or synth bass. I really loved it for that. In this setting, I'm going to stick with the 456. Let's go through and play with the IPS now.
Sin city, sin city, lost in those lights. See, every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe in sin city, sin city. Still lost in the lights, in the hype, fucking flashing lights, caught up in the high, we so high.
That 30 IPS, it sounds really good. This plugin it's really hard to mess this plugin up when it comes to the saturation of it. I really feel what I love about this is on the surface, it doesn't look like a lot of options, but you can really do a lot of tonal shaping with this one plugin. And I like to, like, for instance, on my stereo bus, I have it hitting my 542s first, right? So I have 542s, SSL compressor, fusion, a stereo pair of API preamps, and then like this like converters, right? So I like to hit my stereo bus first and round off transients and use like the silk feature on my 542s to kind of just shape things and kind of round off those transients a little bit and remove a little bit of harshness, just so everything else downstream isn't having to work as hard. All right. And I can really do the same thing with this plugin right here. Again, different sound, but I can go through and do the same thing. And the imaging on this thing is so beautiful. Let's focus on the imaging now that we kind of went through and talked about this top portion. So I guess we're going to start with imaging. Let's go ahead and play with this first, bring these in and out so you guys can hear that. So this is in essence removing some of that stereo imaging effect, some of the wideness, I guess.
Sin city, sin city, lost in those lights. See every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know it.
I view this, I know they have it up here as the Widener. I view this as like the holographic effect. Like, it's crazy.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights. See every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe in.
I mean, it sounds beautiful. It's to a point where I personally like it like this. I can understand maybe if you already have other widening tools that you're doing on your stereo bus or leading up to it that you don't really want to touch it. I get it, but I'm keeping it like this, you know, until further notice. So that is basically how I've been approaching this. Now, one thing I do want to point out also when we're talking about the imaging is when going through and using this plugin, and just tape saturation, I notice in general. If you guys watch some of my other videos, I kind of describe it like this. You know, the goal when I am focusing on my imaging when it comes to my songs is I want the low end to anchor. And shout out Ziad, he really liked my analogy, and it's very much the same thing with this plugin too. You know, you want to be able to have your low end sound like it's below, like this is being anchored. You don't want your vocals and your low end to sit at the same place image wise. You want your vocals to be in the middle. You want your low end to sink under you. You don't want your vocals and your low end, your bass or your 808 to be roommates. You want your vocals to be the upstairs neighbor, and then your bass to be the downstairs neighbor. Okay. And that's one of the things that I hear. Listen to where the low end moves once this plugin is enabled. Okay. You guys need headphones or be in front of some good monitors to actually hear this. Okay. Listen to the positioning and the imaging of that. And we're going to talk about the mid range after.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights. See every single night scene, always on the prowl. She yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City.
Okay, this thing is fucking crazy. All right, now I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm hearing. And maybe you need to go back through and rewind that. I can hear the bass notes more clearly articulated when this is enabled, right? And one of those reasons why is because what it's doing is it's putting everything in its proper position, as all great hardware I feel like does. It helps your bass anchor, okay? You don't want things to be fighting for the same space. That's when things get congested, okay? What's crazy about this, why I love this plugin, is not only does it help the bass anchor so it's not fighting with some of the low mids or just fighting with the vocals or the keyboards in general, but it's anchoring the low end, keeping the vocals in their proper place, but also filling the gap between the vocals and the bass. So it's like those frequencies are still there, but it's just how they're represented and how they're articulated. It's much more clearly defined to where you can hear the low mid of the vocals more present. You can hear the low end, the 808 in the bass more present. That low mid energy is still there, but it's just not gunked up and just like running into each other. I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying. It honestly took me a long time for my ears to get to this place. If you don't hear it, don't be mad. Just train your ears. All right. But listen to it one more time. That low mid energy, it's just clearly defined. Okay. Listen one more time.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City still.
It's wild. Like I can hear the transient now of the 808 more. And it's not to say the transient isn't hitting hard like a kick. That's not what's happening here. But it's just how things are being positioned to allow things to articulate how they need to. Okay. If you guys don't hear it, go back, listen to what I said, and rewatch the last 2 minutes. Okay. And then revisit this video in 3 months. When you guys get this plugin, revisit this video so you guys can hear what I'm hearing and train your ears to hear what I'm hearing. If you haven't heard it already, you dig. All right, next thing, let's focus on the mid range. I tried not to make this a long video, but and just deal with it. All right. So let's listen to the mid range now. So let's play before and after.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin.
Okay. Excuse me. What I hear with this is the same thing that's happening with the low mids of the vocals and the bass. The same thing is happening with the mid range and high mid range and the music. Okay. Let me play one more time. I hope you guys can hear this.
Sin City.
Listen to the vocals, the positioning of the vocals, and listen to the relationship the vocals have with the music surrounding it. Okay. When I bring this in, it's like the music goes from just sitting behind the vocals to blooming around the vocals. That is the key thing to listen for. And because the vocals or the music is going from just behind the vocals to blooming around the vocals, it allows the vocals to sit a little bit further back and relax in the mix to be more in pocket and still be able to articulate the music clearly around it, because it's not just behind the vocals now it's blooming around it, giving it space to relax further into the stereo image. All right, let's go ahead and take a peek at that.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City, still lost in the lights and the high fucking flashing lights, caught up in the high, we so high and we stand.
It's allowing you to articulate and hear, have more discernment over the swirling effect that I had in mind when producing this song. Okay. Like you can hear the swirl more, and it's wild because you can actually hear what I'm hearing with the music and the 808. It's like a very natural transient shaping that's taking place too. It's like adding life to the transients of the music. Again, it's not like It's not like I'm adding a very sharp transient shaper to it, but it's just like a very smooth transient shaping that's happening while also smoothing out the transients. It's really wild what's taking place here. And I think one of the things that's happening is because from what I do know about this tape machine does not have any transformers in it. So you're actually only hearing the tape for the most part. So listen to, again, the music bloom from just behind the vocals to surrounding the vocals, and then also listen to the transients of the music, okay? Like the keys. Like I don't know if you guys can tell I'm smiling because I'm tripping out. You know, I still get joy using this plugin. All right, so before and after.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows, you gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow, you gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City, Sin City.
Okay, that's the mid range. Like those are some of the things that I focus on. If you guys watch my videos, I always talk about that imaging is so important. By me putting this or a plugin on in general, is it like shrinking the sound or is it allowing things to expand? And the imaging aspect and quality of this plugin is amazing, because what's happening is it's just allowing things. Same reason why I love the P821 so much. Using these together is crazy. And I'm going to do another video on that, just using those two. All right. But this is allowing things to be articulated with more definition, because it's help positioning things to be in their own space so they can shine. Instead of things being claustrophobic and clustered and constipated, love the alliteration, right? Instead of all those things being stuck in one space, I'll give you another analogy. It's like going from a 1-bedroom to like a 5-bedroom, right? It's allowing sounds to go from being bunched up to having their own space to express themselves. Okay, so that is that. There's a little hiss here. I laughed at the Pulsar Modular video because they said they spent a lot of time actually focusing on getting the hiss right. And I'm not going to hold you. Actually, it's a really good hiss. You know, Mark was talking about a lot of times the hiss is just like straight white noise or white noise like, and it can sound kind of harsh. This sounds very, very natural. Say what you want about that, but I do have it set. Now, if I'm using a piece of hardware gear that has quite a bit of, well, I don't actually use any hardware that has a lot of noise outside of my Fusion, but I don't really use the drive too much in that. So I do catch myself using the hiss. I'm not doing anything crazy unless it's like some type of stereo effect, but notice I just kind of keep it at 30 and it does me solid. So I'm going to do another video specifically using the modulation and the tape delay. I'll play them just so you guys can hear them, but stereo bus really isn't the place to, where I'm going to use the tape delay or modulation. But there is this lo-fi button, which is cool. Everything can be automated. So let's say if I wanted to automate, what am I looking for? Oh, lo-fi. So let's say if I wanted to automate the lo-fi, let's just kind of play it, bring it in real fast.
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every single night.
So that's a low pass filter, and then this is
Sin City, Sin City, lost in those lights, see every.
Okay, so you have that. You have modulation and flanger along with wow and flutter.
Sin City, Sin City. Lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows. You gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound.
All right.
Sin City, Sin City. Lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows. You gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound.
What I will say about this is I love how actually subtle it is. I mean, obviously when you crank it at 100 and it's that fast, it's super apparent. But again, not something I would use on my stereo bus, like the flutter or anything like that. But you know, if you did want to just get like a little bit of movement, you can have the modulation on, everything on 0, and it still does do something. So see if you guys can hear that.
Sin City, Sin City. Lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows. You gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe it.
It's like the low mids. You can really hear it like in the low mids in the vocals specifically. Again, I'm gonna make a whole video on this. I really liked using this. Just to give you guys some ideas before the next video, I really like using this on the music bus, right? Just to give a little bit of just, you know, a little bit of razzle dazzle, just a little bit of movement in the music bus. For the type of music I make, it might not be ideal for you, but I use like a lot of synths in my music. So just having a little bit of movement, something like that is cool. And then you have a tape delay, which is, it's a really great tape delay. Again, not a place I would use it for on the stereo bus, but
Sin City, Sin City. Lost in those lights, see every single night scene. Always on the prowl, she yelling vows. You gotta know what I mean. She moving right to the sound, make me say wow. You gotta see what I see to make you believe in Sin City.
What I really like for this, if you, again, just kind of giving you guys ideas before I drop that video, is like slap delay. Like if you guys use slap delays, this sounds really dope, because just have it like on 15 or even 7.5 using a slap today. Slap today. Did you get slapped today? Using a slap delay and just adding some body and adding this. Honestly, between you can use both of these, the tape delay, the modulation, and just giving your vocals a little bit of movement, or like if you're like guitars, really just anything you want to use a slap delay. I really like the sound of this. I love that they didn't half-ass the tape delay or the modulation either, because you know that sometimes the main focus is like the tape machine, and so they'll focus on the tape machine and just kind of throw some modulation, some tape delay in there real fast just to kind of say that there's more features. But I can assure you from being in the actual beta testing, this was something that they did pay some attention to. So I really like that. But guys, this is the Pulsar Modular P821 MDN tape. This is an absolute staple if you love saturation, if you love tape saturation specifically. And this definitely has found a new home for me. I really enjoy what it does. I hope this was beneficial for you guys. Again, when you're using this plugin and when you're listening to it, really focus on the imaging aspect. It does something so amazing to the imaging. The same, it does it different from the P821, and they work so well together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and then I'm going to do another video where again, I break it down like how I use it like as a slap delay, music bus, and then just more on individual sounds or buses. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of what I felt, what I thought, what I liked, what I love about the plugin, and then allow you guys to check it out. I believe it's a 40-day demo on the website. I'll put the link in the description. But y'all be good to yourselves. Excuse me. Y'all be good to yourselves. I'll see you at the next one. Watch out.